This is it. This is the spot where it all began in Season 2, just about a year ago. This is everything that we made. Well, not everything we made. There's a whole lot more than this that we made. This is it. This is the end. Let's take a look at all of the bases that we built. All the different buildings that we put together. Not everybody's. This is not the video for that. This is me. This is the corner store. This is the first thing that I built on the first week of Season 2. I had this planned out on a little test server, where we also planned on that, because I helped build this. And I wanted to, like, Oda had an idea. He wanted to have Spawnville. He wanted to have a little city right here at Spawn to make everything safe, to make everybody have a starter base where if something happened, we would spawn right back here, or we could, or in our houses, and we would be safe and sound and be able to, you know, help have other people help us, and then we could branch out and do other things and build other stuffs all over the area and all over the server, and that's what we did. And this was the corner store. I had my own mailbox, and there's nothing in here. Didn't do Millie Mail this season. I did something else, so we'll take a look at that in a second. But the Millie's Corner Store is based on a little corner store in maybe a rundown city, and I made it look as rundown but as neat and clean as possible. And obviously we had copper when we started 1.21, and the server has stayed on 1.21 the entire time, so that's why we have copper bulbs and stuff like that, but we don't have any of the pale oak or anything that's happened since then. So the Millie's Corner Store, I had a little shop out front for a little while, and I think there's still, yep, random junk in there. And then I came in here and built out the store. So we got a little storefront, a little bit of seating, and all of the different, this was my original storage room, sort of. There's Olivia, and if you guys come and see her later, we'll give her a treat, because she loves her fish. Okay. There you go. Good kitty. Alright, so behind the counter here at the corner store, we'll jump over this. Whoa. Had a little secret back door so I could get in and out to my other build that's right there. Downstairs is our full storage room and all of my lava and all my smelting furnaces, and there might even be junk in there, who knows. And then a secret back door into Cube's moss farm that he let me share supplies with from time to time before he built me my own. And then if you continue down this spiral staircase, and we're going to go into free cam, you will see this spiral staircase goes all the way down into a tunnel system, and this tunnel system actually leads out all the way to the flower farm. And then if we go all the way down further, you kind of, like, it goes way down into where we did all of our diamond mining down here. So you can kind of see how all of Spawn was really, like, built up. Like, oh, it doesn't work very well. Obviously, free cam isn't meant to do cheaty stuff. It's just meant to kind of take a look at things. And yeah, like, there's been, like, a ton of people have done so much work, and it wasn't me. Okay, so those are areas that I spent a lot of time on this year. And then we're going to come on up here, close that door, go on upstairs. And upstairs is my living quarters and a smaller enchanting setup, because we built the full, like, level 30 enchanting setup really early in the season. And yeah, it's just, I wanted, like, lower end enchants. So I have a little bit of lapis and a whole bunch of additional books in case I ever lost my armor, which I'm very proud to say I never lost a single piece of armor this season. I'm very happy. Okay, and then we have some nice things that people said and some presents that they left. And then our balcony, little balcony to be able to look out over Spawnville, and I absolutely love just sitting here and like, or just kind of hanging out here, and never wax that. Come on, there we go. I put these guys in, and then a little like little stove area for a grill in case I ever needed it. And this had all my food supplies in it at the beginning of the season. If we come to the very top of the corner store, laundry room, and one of the spiders, because it was a very warm and cozy spot. And I put a spore blossom in here to give this whole build a little bit of life. And then I've got my laundry hanging up here to dry, and my pupper dogs. Did I ever give it? Oh, I never gave you names. Annie and Floof, and I did give that one a name. I'm sorry. Well, hopefully by the end of this video, we'll give you a name, or I'll probably forget. And somebody else can give you a name. Alright, so that's the corner store. And then after the corner store, I went on... Let's see. Was it the flower? Let's go next door. Now, next door was CraftWorks. And this was supposed to be like a thrift store slash, so cheap, free stuff, basically, is what it turned out to be. There was a little deposit area here for donations, so if anybody had junk in their inventory and they're walking by, they could just throw it there in those hoppers. And it had a front window for displaying things. And then if we come over here to the back, there was a little loading dock out here that never really got used too much, but I ended up using it for, let's come in here real quick. This is where all of the supplies would get sorted out in the storage room. Is there anything in here? Nope. We've got it all sorted for the end of the season. There was some additional supplies somebody dumped in there that I left out here. Little vending machine and a little bit of a break room back here. And if we come out here, this was the main store. And all of this was free for anybody. So when people drop things off that they didn't want anymore, I'd take it out of the back room, filter it into here, and I had help from a few of the other crafters to do that kind of thing. Wood items, stone items, natural items. So anytime somebody needed something that they maybe just needed a few of, CraftWorks was here for them. And over time, we added things like Oda and I created the Froglight Farm. So instead of selling the Froglights, we decided that we would just keep them here for free. So anybody could get any amount of Froglights they wanted. And then over time, we also did sponge rentals. And Cap used a lot of sponges. Q used a lot. Lane. They used a ton, and they've returned... Not all of them. I think Cap's still using for his Titanic build. So it was a lot of fun building this. I built it with the floors to make it look like it had a lot of wear over time, with a lot of people going in and out of here. And I based it kind of off of like a Goodwill or one of those kinds of thrift stores. And I had a lot of fun with this one. And I built it to have a very similar like color palette and similar like style to this guy. All right, moving on with builds that I did on this side of the server. I put in all these roads. Pretty much like almost all the roads until like I kind of built up those. I made the style of it. I built out the roads in the different directions, and then people just started kind of hooking up to it. And if we come over here to the other side of the portal, and I helped Oda with all the terraforming around the exterior of the portal. Built this road, except for the glass portion, all the way out to Ease Mafia. And then we built the Flower 5 and Die. And I had a lot of fun with this one because I really wanted to build a building that looked like a old greenhouse, but in the most vibrant, colorful colors ever. And I think I pulled that off. And had the little bit of a greenhouse attachment here. And even when you come into the building itself, you see that it is a greenhouse and all these beautiful like colors and all of the like the glass roof. I built it to look like it could open at some point in time if you had a whole bunch of green in here. And then all of the different flowers for sale. Like I managed to get every single flower type, including wither roses. I'm very proud of myself for that. And then also sold all the different dyes. The only ones I didn't sell was Oda stocked these lime green ones, and then Captain Wishbone had his own black ink store, so I had a little note in here saying to go visit Link 182 for black. And then I had this little cute greenhousey portion that sold all the 2 high flowers, and I had to put this thing facing exactly the correct way so I could get the sunflowers to face you when you walked into this room. And Blossom has been living at this store this whole time. I used this in a couple different ways over the season, as well as made banners for me and some other folks using our little loom. And all of the banner patterns exist here in the server because I wanted to make sure that anybody could come and get dyes and be able to make their banners. Now, before I leave this aside, I wanted to point out one other thing that I kind of helped with building, and that was our beacon shop. And I did a lot of terraforming all the way through this area to kind of help merge all of this and then make all of this very much nethery. And here is Beacons and Bits. Oda and I, MC Oda and I, built this guy after we built a wither farm, and I don't know if I'll show you the wither farm. We might go over there. If not, you can see my video. But we put this together in creative and then came onto the server and built it out and then decided how we were going to do all the stock. And we have all of the wither skeleton skulls, unless for people who wanted to farm their own withers. And then we also had pre-made beacons over here. And we made a lot of sales. A lot of people wanted to have beacons, and that was great. And it was a little later in the season because it did take us so long to get this wither farm done. But as you can see, like, there was so many skulls, and it was such a great farm. But it took tons and tons of work, and Oda did most of that. I also added in some other things from the nether, such as blaze rods, because of the fact that I built a blaze farm, and I'll try to remember to go show you that, even though there's not too much to see. So I think that was all that I built here. Let's take a look real quick. Let's see here. I built the parking lot over by Lane's area here, and I put together a lot of these from the charity stream. So these were not fashioned by me, but I did take schematics of it from our charity stream and a test server kind of thing, a side server to be able to recreate those and get those together so we would have a representation. And then before we get across the river, we did the beach. I saw this little tiny mini ocean right from the get-go on like day 1 of the server and wanted to do something special with this one. So I built all of these cute little beach huts and fashioned them, and then all of my friends came out and built all sorts of fun things. And we did a whole bunch of cool water builds down here, and there's a conduit so you can swim around with all the ocean life that spawns here. There's a couple puppers out on the beach along with all of these different like slides, and this slide Melissa did. And I have a little like food hut over there. And then there's just a ton of like different things around this area that all of my friends built. I also helped Goose with the little sculpture garden, so we did sculptures over there. And I think this was one of my favorite days. Like, being able to build with all of my friends. Oh yeah, let me go in here too. So, as part of a build that I'm going to show you over there, and Isabox. So Empress Littlebit, Isabox, and I did interior design, and we offered that last season as well. But this season, Izzy built the building, and then I helped around in different places, and Q Prospector asked me to come in and design the interiors for his XP store. So I did all of this. We put a little bar in here. he did all the stuff down at the XP farm itself. Built a little pool table and seating. We did all of this like little casino thing, and I've since seen other designs for a very cool roulette table, so maybe in the future I'll build that. There's an actual aquarium with real fishies, and the table, we were going to play stat poker, which I had hoped eventually we would get to do, but we never really did. And then, I think it was it here? No. Over here is a secret room that I built for Cube to have his own secret manager office. So Cube Prospector Head Honcho XP HQ. He had a little monitor that he could watch the goings on in the casino. And then this was just a beautiful like view. And look, you can see Melissa's Circus from here. You can see Zion over on the mountain there. You could see the knot that Nard, the Nard one put in front of his build. I thought it was just kind of a cute little hidden thing that very few people ever went to go see, but it's there as kind of an Easter egg. Did help with a room in the Clue Mansion, and I've helped with little things all over the place on this server. But let's take a look over at the boardwalk. Oh yeah, I built this tree. Forgot about that. So we'll come and land on E's end here. Early on, also, Inca Raids asked me to help build a custom tree around his little pond. So I built this jack pine, or like this pine tree, and I had a lot of fun with that one. And then I came down and actually helped build this little pond. Inca had built it out, and then I came down and Oda and I fleshed it out one day so that this area would look a lot more finished. And it was originally we were originally going to hook up all this to kind of come over to the other side of the boardwalk. And we just never got to it. We have best laid plans over all of this server. But look at that. Look how beautiful the boardwalk looks. I mean, we didn't really finish the terraforming there. I guess I could have just brought over some bone meal or some rocks or something, but overall it still looks really fabulous even if we didn't finish this section. But my build is right there, so let's come up here and take a look at it. I'm gonna go over here and jump on this greenery someone's left. Probably had the same idea I did. Bloop. Now, my one store that I built on the boardwalk was this, is Shulk and Shrink. And I don't know what gave me the idea to put like a psychiatrist office upstairs. We had kind of thought about, I think Lane had an HR office next door, which we really never implemented. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if we had like a shrink office or something, and we just never played off of it. But Shulk and Shrink is completely built out of like yellow and purple to kind of represent the shulker boxes. And in the floor of the place, there is a shulker box in the floor itself. And I am so happy about this. I've loved this design since day one, and I'm so glad that I implemented it. I also got a couple additional shulker colors from Melissa and Lane. And then we have Chorus, which was named after Chorus plants. So in here I sold the end rods. Blaze rods got moved to the wither shop later. We have the end stone and the purpur here, and then the shulkers. And I am almost sold out of them. I came through and got all of my diamonds a little while ago, and somebody, I think it was Captain Wishbone and maybe K-Hug and Lane. Those three used the most shulkers all season long. And then upstairs, Psychiatric Help 5 cents. This is actually a Peanuts reference if you didn't get it. And built this cute little psychiatric office. We were having a lot of I wouldn't say arguments or anything on the server, but like when you have a lot of people and a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, Like I just kind of put this in for my own stress relief, I think. And you had your like little sofa, and you had I had a little bed, which I'm going to use here. And overall, I just thought it would be like kind of a cute little thing. And I hung out with E here for a little bit, and we had some chats, and there's like just a cute little room to kind of hang out in. And then there's a little balcony, and you have a kind of a good view of Jitterybug's mansion that didn't get quite finished, unfortunately, and this really huge chasm that went through this space. We kept debating on whether we'd cover it or not over the season and then build further back, and then we just never did. But I kind of like it because it goes all the way down to Deep Sleep, so if you have a pair of wings and you get the download, you can use it for that. Then okay, and then upstairs, yeah, there's even a little golden shulker head that I got. If we go upstairs, this is where I was farming some of my chorus fruit early on. There was supposed to be 2 of these. Let's see, can I get this one down? There. No give. There. There. Just kind of like an antenna and such, and of course it's gonna rain. Let's see. Yum. Ooh, nice. Thank you, forest fruit. I got down very quickly. Helped out a little bit in, let's see, this building right here, which is the interior design building that Izzy put together. I think that was the only, I helped do some stock storage up over here in Zink's area, much to his dismay. I put some terracotta in his store. I believe that's all I did here on this side of the server. So let's take a look over here at Goose's area. Everything looks so good. Oh, there's Toblox has a beacon here in his house now. And there's a beacon here. We can find all the I haven't put a beacon out. I mean, I honestly built a beacon store and then never actually built my beacon. I don't know why. If we come on down here, I helped put together one of these houses. I think it's the second one to the left. Right over there. I think that's the one I helped build. But this one was the one I helped decorate. And it's still decorated for Christmas. Because that is the season that I did it. And we have a little seating area in here. I'll close the door. And then a little kitchen. And a big screen TV and lots of books. And then Christmas decorations on the floor. I built a weird little snowplow tractor and a little wheelbarrow in the garage. And then if we come on up here, a little, just a desk. And one bedroom, very simple. And then another bedroom, a little less simple. And I think this was a closet. Yep, just put in some closet space in there. But Goose had this great idea that he'd have us all come out and do different houses, and I'm not sure. There's another couple Easter eggs in here, and there's other things in these houses, so make sure you take a look at those. Then we have the Halloween district, and I'll start down to where I actually started doing things here, and that was this little pumpkin house. Now, the original design of this fierce pumpkin house was actually developed by Waddles, probably 5 years ago, and then I tweaked the design over the course of a few different years because I rebuild this a lot, and there's actually a zombie in here if I remember correctly, so be careful if you do go on upstairs. Yep, there he is. I actually caught a zombie with a pumpkin head, and I kept telling everybody, I'm like, yeah, they don't despawn if you name them, so he lives up there, and he exists as a pumpkin head guy. And then over through here, I built a pathway that's a race course all the way around the island. So if we come over here, and then I kind of built up some of these paths. And this path is the one that's the race course, and this goes up to Melissa's mansion. Over here is the actual, did anybody ever race? Nope. Nobody ever actually raced. Got best time for all of the skeleton horses because part of the course is submerged. So you have to use a skeleton horse to race this race course. Over here, I built my scary cat, and it was based very similar kind of shape to the pumpkin, and then I put like the nose sticking out, changed the eyeballs, and I'll F4 here. I just love that cat. He is so spooky and funny, and then I like used the dripstone to make the teeth, and the whiskers are little copper rods, and it's just a head. That's all it is. It's just a spooky head. I wonder where that came from. There's a weird little piece of scaffolding I didn't put in. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, like I think that's going to be the biggest part of this whole island that I did. We have the pumpkin and then yeah, all the way around, and then K-Hug built his thing over here. And I built this course that comes all the way around, and there are real horses on this island if you want to race it, but down through here, depending on when you're racing, there is a possibility of the witch getting you with a splash potion. Like she's ready. Oh, you missed. And then, oh, nope, I guess you didn't miss. Smart on you. Good on you. And then over here there was, at one point, yeah, a drowned with a trident. And if you raced fast enough, he wouldn't really spot you. And I don't know, are you still a drowned with a trident? He's just a regular drown now, unfortunately. He did have a trident at one point, or there was one in here, and he would throw tridents as you went, but things change. Stuff despawns, respawns, etc. when you leave things on a server like this. We're gonna head over to the flower forest, and you can see how close things are. So we have Goose's houses over there, so that's his subdivision up there. Then we had the Halloween item island here in between. And then if we go up over this opposing mountain range, we'll kind of fly up over Melissa's area here with her bees. And then you can already see over there my base. So we'll come all the way down to where it all began. And then I'm probably gonna sleep so we can look at this all during the daytime where it's not raining. Look at that rainbow, it's so beautiful. Oh, welcome on to the flower forest. The only reason my base exists here, so far away from spawn, which is way over that way, is it was the closest flower forest to spawn. And unfortunately, it was also pretty small. So overall, I'll show you where it starts and stops. But overall, this was the closest one so that I could do my flower shop. And I actually started building here probably almost before I built the flower shop itself. Oda decided that once he found out that I had 3 villages, one that was like technically here, one that was up on the mountain over here. You saw it probably when I flew in. And then there was one over there. He decided he was going to come on over and put in his villagers. And it was a really ugly thing for a while. And then eventually he built it up and made kind of like a little church thing for his clerics. And that turned out to be really cool. I like doing this where I take an existing portal. We did this in season 1 too. Take an existing portal and just go ahead and plop it down and see where it leads. And we will go back in through there because we have stuff on the nether roof to go look at too. But we came down here, and all of the terraforming around the river's edge I did over time. Built this custom willow tree and this little pond that existed here. This was part of the river. Originally, I had thought I was going to drain out quite a bit of the river and through here and make an ink farm, but then Captain Wishbone beat me to it. So I just made it into a neat little pond instead. We put in these little easy to harvest flower farms. And Oda helped me find the sniffers, honestly, because I found 1 egg and had 1 sniffer for probably about 4 weeks before we found another one. But we got those guys going and brought over. I had them at spawn at one point and then brought them out here and started breeding them up, and that's why there's so many of them over there, but we'll take a look at that. This is just a hedge line. This is the apple barn. So it turned out, it was originally the flower barn, and then it became the apple barn because I wanted to make it look like an old mill where apple cider was made from the apple trees that grew up from here. And I think it was the flower barn until I built the citrus barn, and then it made way more sense to be the apple barn instead. And I actually changed, I don't know if anybody noticed, but I actually changed the patterns on the side of the barn after the fact, so they're no longer flowers like the flower forest one was. All of my different flower farms, my cow crusher, all of that has been here. I've even had a couple little sheep, but I haven't used those probably the majority of the season. And the cactus collection system there. And my kitty cats, Azalea and Tenchimuyo. And if we come on in here, this was my very original flower farm. Like, just this does the base poppies and daisies and azure bluets, and what else? Some blue cornflowers, etc. And up here was my pumpkin and melon farm, and then later on I kind of built some other little mini farms in here, so that's why this place looks kind of like a really big mishmash of everything. And it became my storage room out here. I was going to actually use the storage room back at spawn, and I have a little map of that, but I never did. I think I used this one for the most part, and then when I was back at spawn building things, I used that one. So all of my supplies will be back at either here or at the corner store. I think I'm gonna put my main shulkers and all my supplies and all my gear at the corner store. So in case you get the world download, you'll be able to get to it from there. A few other little tiny like hidden things down in here is directly to the sniffer stuff. So I'd actually like kind of built this path so I could get in and out of the sniffer eggs if I wanted to like directly move things into the farm without having to go outside if it was raining or something. And then this was all my storage for my colors before I'd move them into the store back at spawn. So very mishmashy. I love this build. This is... as much as I love a lot of the builds in the store, like I've spent the most time in this one because it's my storage room. So I just love that one. And then this is my newest build, and it's the one I've been able to spend the least amount of time looking at. And this was the gazebo I built in place of where the sniffer farm was. And then this was and is the citrus barn itself. And this is where Q Prospector built my bone meal farm. So he built me a bone meal farm and all the pink and stuff, and then I covered it up with this. And then also have my horse pens for my specific horses here. So the ones that are like geared up. And across from that are all custom apple trees. And these are little mini heads. So depending on if you have the mod when you download this, they might all look like Steve heads. It's very creepy. I would definitely recommend making sure you have the data pack for that. If so, otherwise things are going to look really weird around here. I think the download will come with it, but just in case, if you see it, it might look weird. But this is the pedal place. Deep cut, very deep cut here. Petal Place was also the name of Rose Petal and Friends or something like that. It's a doll back from the 80s. So like, and she was very pink and rosy and stuff like that. So deep cut there. If you didn't get the Petal Place reference, it's fine. I don't blame you. It's so old. One of my favorite dolls back in the day were these rose and like flower dolls. And I kind of named some things around here after those folks. So again, deep cut. If you didn't get it, it's fine. Then we come on up here. These are all the fields. And I built these pretty much last. So these are all the kind of like tamed horses, but they don't have saddles or anything. And then down in through here, you kind of come back in. And I finally got a home for all the mushrooms that I had between myself and Oda bringing them out from the mushroom forest. I mean, the mushroom island. And oh, thank you, Sniffer. This Sniffer was set free by herself, and she probably climbed over this and wandered in there. So she lives with the mushrooms now. And then the rest of them, a couple videos ago, I moved them over here. They were a pain in the patookies, but I love the colors. I think just all of the nether colors and everything just looks so good with the Sniffers, and they're still digging up stuff even though it's all my like all this like weird nether wart blocks and such. Up there on the mountain, I planted all of those cherry trees because I just had so many cherry like little cherry saplings and such, so that's why they're up there. At one point, like all of my farms for wood and such, because we didn't have the timber time for the longest portion of the season, so I had my own tree farms out here, and they were all right back in there. You can see the remnants of a couple of the trees that I still had out here in case I needed some additional supplies. I challenged myself this season to try to terraform the bit out of just everything. Like, I really wanted to just take a section of the server and just terraform the heck out of it, and that's what I did this season. And just barely, there's barely anything in this area that hasn't been touched by my hands at some point. Like, even down through here in these cherry trees, I terraformed all the way down through here and all the plants and planted all the trees. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do all of that in the space of a year, and I am super happy with it. And then also planted all of the flowers in through here, and they're all gorgeous, and I love them so much. And mowed the lawns back here. We'll take a look. This is called Sophia's house. I don't think I ever actually gave the abode a name. Maybe I did. It might be in some of the lore somewhere, so if you go back, I may have given it a title, but otherwise I've always called it Sophia's house. It was a storyline around up here, which we'll kind of look at here in a minute, but I just love this house so much. So this was a labor of love. I built this design. Originally, it was supposed to be the keep. And when I got halfway through with it in creative, I did not like it as a house. Like, I did not like it as a like massive build. It wasn't massive. It wasn't massive enough. So I built this house, and then it became like a farmhouse. And let's sleep real quick. So front door. Nar told me this was a flex to actually have one of these recovery compasses in here. I think it's funny, honestly, but and I decided I'd keep it here because we actually got it during this storyline in the ancient city that we found. But we have some clothes hangers. I did all of the interiors of this. I think we have Tiger here, which was a name given to me by somebody in the comment sections. We have Sophia's bedroom. So we have some of her diaries and such in the house. So you can take a look at those and read at your leisure. There's a little tiny closet that even has some things in it. And a quick entry point into her little like garden room where she'd clean up before going into the main house. Here's Sparky. This was given name given to me, given by my mom. She had a dog named Sparky growing up. We'll come out here. So bedroom, where she slept in her later years because she was an older lady in the storyline. Her kitchen always has fresh cookies and cakes in it. Has our dog Jasper, all of the stoves and stuff, dog bowl for Jasper. Out the back, a water spigot, our rose bushes that are kind of acting as like tomatoes. We've got all of the vegetables, and I think I finally got everything. Yeah, it's all finally oxidized to the colors I wanted it to be. So these were all the different flowers. A little swing set back here, growing vines to kind of balance this whole back garden off. And I love this garden. It did not get a lot of views, unfortunately, but I mean, like, it's cool. I've never seen people do like special gardens outside of a house before, so I'm very proud of it. And this was the grave of Sophia, who was buried here in her land, along with maybe some other pets or some other like people that she knew. We don't have the names. It's lost to time according to the lore. We come back into Sophia's house. More lore. This is the story that I finished out from Madeline Farmer. So that was in the last episode. Just kind of as a wrap up, decided to leave it here in the house for you all if you want to read it. And then we have a set kitchen table. There is the beautiful seating area, and this is Tulip, who lives on the sofa here. Little bit of popcorn to sit and chitty chat down here. Some other little items up through here, and then if we come upstairs, Sophia's painting area and crafting area has some paints and some paints on the floor. Looks like she was working on a rose or a tulip painting. And then we kind of come into here, and this was her original bedroom upstairs. It's all nice and pink. Even the closet has stuff in it. I did all the closets and everything for interiors. I had a ton of fun doing that. But as she got older, she couldn't make it up the stairs as much, and that was why her bedroom is pretty much pristine and clean, and there's not as much in it as downstairs. Out here, little balcony area where she'd be able to sit and look at the keep and look at the mountains, the barn, and all of the flower fields, and also look out over the dye factory. Up above in the little tiny landing up here is Shelly, and Shelly exists up here. I'll put that in there too. Why not? We'll put all of those little surprises in there. Shelly is a 16-year-old female who likes knitting. She was given to me by Isabox, so she got her own little area up here. She is tied up because she learned how to yeet herself off. And that's not good. You should never be yeeting yourself out of your craft room. You should enjoy your craft room. Just, again, one of my favorite builds to date. People love this roof line. I put so much work into all of these roof lines, and the roof itself looks really wild. I really tried to get some colors that nobody would think of using on a roof, and it turned out spectacular. But we'll come over to that here in a minute, but we're going to go continue with Sophia's land here. And this barn I built, very similar. I tend to build a barn in every season. This one was a little bit different. It had a little balcony up here. It had different windows on the upstairs area than I've ever done, and you can kind of see them from inside. This, again, it's another like flower farm. And all these flowers. So I had to run the farms to get enough flowers to take out all the dirt and plow it all and plant all the flowers again. And a lot of people a lot of people might not realize how much work that is to plant all this, but you have to make sure you hydrate like every single plot of land you want to use, and you have to be careful about stepping on them afterwards when they're plowed, and then you put the flowers in. It was a lot. But I enjoyed it, and I did it. I think I did some of these on stream, some of these not. Some of them are just did as like replays, that kind of thing. And if we come back here, let's see if all of our axolotls we let loose were still bopping around. Sweet, so they're doing good out here. And that was kind of like the final thing. There was like a little pond down here that I wanted to make sure I got finished before the season was over. And some of these beehives, so there's like that beehive got moved, but I think one of these beehives over here existed. Like I put those out, like I found those like early on in the season. Never really did much with them because Melissa had her bee store, and I just used them when I needed to wax copper. That's literally all I use those for. I didn't even, and maybe like an occasional candle or something. All right, so on this side, this is... Oh, I never named you either? Goodness gracious, I need to get on that. This was the dye factory, so in lore-wise, this whole area used to do dyes and flowers and sell them all the way around the... like, all around the area. So what would happen is they would like grow all the flowers here, and then the donkey, they would pick up the flowers down through the whole area, bring them back here, take them up on this crane. So this crane right here. So this box is getting ready to be shipped up there. And then it would get loaded off onto this upper stair area. And then from there, it would be loaded down into this room. And this room had all of the cooking pots for the dyes. So we would have like some... See, there's like the little cooking pots, and the flames would boil them down, and then in their boiled down states, they'd be stored here until they needed to be made into dyes. So then we'd have the boiled states into the dyes, and then we'd come back up across the bridge again. And then once they were in their dye state, they would be stored here. So we have all of the concrete powder, but they look like powdered dyes. And then the additional flowers would be here too. And originally I was going to have this built a lot earlier so I could do all of the storage of the dyes before, instead of over at the apple barn, and that never happened. So it all got built in here. So then from the dye state, they could be shipped back down and then taken over to the pathway there. Or if somebody wanted smaller amounts of dyes, they could just come in and pick it up from this side. So this was the receiving end too. So we could deliver them in here as well. And from here, I just love this balcony look, because you can see all of the different flower colors and the bees just kind of all over here. And then you can see where the villagers ended up. And this was a lot of fun building this. I made the challenge to have a rainbow roof, and I think I managed it. with the lack of different items, because like green is pretty much only in bamboo and a little bit of the copper, and that was just difficult. And there's not really blue, and you'll see that once we get over to the villager trading hall. The way I had to do blue was really weird. But, okay, so down here, say they shipped them in here, they could ship them out to the dock area here. And we also had a storage of all the rest of my donkeys and llamas, where they could have been doing deliveries or bringing in different colors of dyes, etc., from different parts of the server or the area. And then this was the little dock. And we could have had a little boat pull up here, a little barge pull up here, and deliver it down through here. And on my last stream, previous stream to this, I did all of this terraforming. The terraforming was a ton of fun. I had a lot of fun with everybody kind of bopping in and out of the stream. And it just really makes this area feel like really alive. And the fish came back once I was done doing all the terraforming and getting all the plants in, etc. So we're gonna come on over here. Yeah. Oh man. I'm just gonna take one last look at all this. Look at all of the work that I did. I have spent so much time planting and everything like that and doing everything, but that was my goal this season, to touch every single little piece, and I think I managed it. I think I did it. Now it stops there, and I would have liked to have gotten further, but I just have run out of time, quite honestly. The whole, like, center focus of this whole area, even more so than the valley here, was the Great Keep and Great Hall. And if you recall from the very first day, once Izzy spotted something on the mountain, and I'll say that in quotations because I told her to like spot something on the mountain and then we're gonna go look at it, even though like literally she couldn't see it because I had Bobby Mod on and I could, and she couldn't see it. It wasn't until she got almost on top of it she was able to see it. It's kind of funny, but thanks Izzy, if you're actually watching this, for being able to help me along with that storyline. But at that point, like, I decided, from not having to wade across this river, built this really cute little bridge. I don't know where I got the design. I think I got an idea from it from someone and then kind of tweaked it to my own purpose. But then from there, I built this staircase and had to fix this staircase about 3 different times because of the fact that I kept changing my mind on where I wanted the stairs to finish. So you might not notice it, but if you look at the course of all the videos all season, you will see a slight shifting of where this doorway landed at the end of the season. But down through here, Zinkberg helped me with all of this terraforming, and then I built up kind of this structure up here so I'd have enough room for the great keep up here. And then he built all of this like cavey stuff over here. I put in flowers after the fact, but he did like 90% of all of this, and I only just kind of put the icing on the cake. He even built like this little like outcropping here with this little cute little cave and another, and then he kind of built up this cave. I had other ideas for this cave early in the season, and that just didn't play out, so that it turned out to be really good once Zink had a hold of it. Let's see. Where is the other thing? So the other thing down below, which I'll show you before we go up to the top, is this little waterfall thing. Wasn't a waterfall at first, but I wanted to have, it was like a little like cave thing that led up into the mountain, and I wanted to make sure that I had a good way in and out down here, and basically built the cave, like dug the cave out and made a hidden library. And this is also part of the lore, but there is a cave that actually leads all the way up to the top of the mountain, and part of the lore was that the mountainside got split open. So you can kind of see that this path actually leads all the way up to the top of the mountain. So the idea is that whatever they did angered something, and there was a big earthquake and a lot of things happened and it split it in half. But probably this area would have been accessible to the upper story through that area until there was a cave-in. So that's why this was all kind of built wrecked looking, because there was actually a cave-in and I am stuck. But the only problem with keeping it open like this to the cave was creepers like to spawn in there, and they would come up here, and I'd have to be very careful about getting rid of them before they destroyed me. One of the other books for the storyline actually exists here, so feel free to take a look at that too. And then I think, yeah, there's nothing else too much in here. Zinkberg helped me with a storyline in here, and I did a little bit of other like storytelling and lore through in this build. So now let's head up to the actual keep itself. I don't know why the server has such a problem with wanting to rain today. Maybe it's sad that I'm getting finished. It's alright. Other people will be able to enjoy you. They're gonna download. Oh, it's the other sniffer that got loose. She's walked herself over here and just kind of lives there now. But it's alright, server. Like, other people will enjoy this after we're all said and gone, and there'll be other things that we'll do later on. And I built this staircase because early on, I was actually using my mules and donkeys to kind of traverse this area before we had Elytra. So I made this all like horse safe to be able to like run up and down this path. And I had a lot of fun doing this, even though, like I said, I had to move it like 4 or 5 times to make sure it got to the point where I wanted it. It was 3 wide for a while, and then I shrunk it. And the reason being is because the beams, I didn't set this in the right place, and the beams came down in the wrong place. So that's why that exists where it does, and that's why it is shrunk to 2 when it was 3 for a while. There's a few other doggies up here that I had extra of, and those, yeah, never got moved either, and I don't think I ever named this cat either. Let's take a look here. This is the Great Hall. This is one of the very first things I designed for CraftWorks Season 2 and worked on before I even like built and designed most of these things down here. I wanted to have this front piece. So this front piece up here, this mosaic pattern, was the whole inspiration for everything. From day one, like, I built this thing, I think in creative about a week or so after the the corner store, and then everything built its way off of this piece. And most of these things haven't been touched. I even left some of the crumbly bits for this design in place. And then after I built that, then I started to build the actual building off of it. And if we come into free cam, you can see that I actually built a corridor, copied it, built the other corridor, and then copied it all the way around. So there's 4. So I only built, to be in all honesty, I only built 1/4 of this, and then copy and pasted it in creative and put it all together to make one big design. And then did all the interior decorating and like switched out things a little bit, but you can see how even it is all the way around. And that was my trick to learning how to build something big. And I'm still learning how to build stuff big, and I have plans for next season to build something really big, and it's actually bigger than this. Like, only a part of it, of what I'm working on right now for season 3, is like maybe this size. So I'm really learning how to build big so I have more room for interior design. I mean, honest to goodness, I just want a big space to interior design, and that's what this was for. The flooring I put in, not sure what I was going to put into this space. I didn't know whether I was going to make it more of like an actual churchy kind of thing. I decided to kind of go against building it into kind of a religious thing, but more of a meeting hall. So this was the Great Hall for an ancient people who lived here and created all of they used to live up on this mountain with all the cherry blossoms, hence the reason that the front has a giant cherry blossom, or, you know, flower blossom, and the floor design kind of played off of that. Even had a little stage area for like a bard to sing while the king and the queen, or the duke and the duchess, or whoever it was that lived in here, like had their thing, and then all of their people came and would dine here, and they'd have all of their big parties. And we had our Thanksgiving party here as the server. And that was a lot of fun too. Now, what people think people think it's a church is because of this. Mostly it's because of the graveyard that I found next to it. Originally, this was going to be another part of the building, and the shape was weird. So by the time I finished building this shape of this like area did not make sense to have another building here. Now, it was all supposed to be one big building. It was supposed to be this connected to a building piece here and to the ultimate building here. And I changed my mind as I went, and this became a graveyard so I could find a hidden book under here. And it's no longer down there. It's actually in the keep now. So you can read it if you want. And then, of course, later on, I put all of these wither roses in after the farm, and it's kind of creepy, but it's also kind of bright and cheery because there's flowers growing up here. But yeah, like this area here, all part of like the lore storyline with where the mountain was cleaved open by the terrible things that happened. So that cave downstairs actually leads up into this cave over here. So you can kind of go all the way through, and this cave over here leads all the way down to Zinc's cave down below. Oh, I never buried that torch. We'll get to that later. We're going to sleep here. But I also matched up that bottom. Whoa. Should have slept sooner than later. Bye. Home stretch. Hopefully that zombie didn't follow me. Oh yeah, he won't be able to come in here anyway. I closed that gate up. Okay. So from there... Ah, do love it that when it rains we get these rainbows. Okay, so from here I had to build the Great Keep, and the Great Keep was the living residence for Alfred, Sophia, and their son Ivan, and all of their staff and cooks and that sort of thing. So on the bottom floor is where all the staff lived and spent most of their time. And we have the Great Kitchen. And we have Lasagna and Stormer, which are the 2 dogs that do have names in here. And all the stuff that they were cooking up. I also moved all of my brewing stuff here, and I started getting ready to do that achievement, to do all of the things, and then we kind of stopped doing achievements, but I did end up with 104, and maybe I'll get 105 before the end of this, but I doubt it. And then we had the food storage room, and there's a few things kind of just shoved in there, random, willy-nilly. And then these were the servants' quarters, so the cook and any soldiers, etc. Spent some time in here. We come up here real quick. I hope there's no zombies or anything spawn in here. Down here was a route and more storyline in there. And then if we go pre-cam really quick, you can see that that all leads down to a trial chamber, and that was all part of the storyline. Once I found out that trial chamber was there, it became part of the storyline. And if we come up here, there's a couple little things here. There's chicken, so if you want eggs, it's here for my cakes. And then in here were all the leftover curse horses. I say that in quotations because there obviously wasn't a curse, but I liked having the skeleton horses and I wanted to pull that into the lore. And then here's the outside of the keep. And I just kept building onto this one. Like, even after I did the creative build, I ended up building the balcony later because it just looked better. But if we come up here, we get the gardens. So Sophia had gardens that she used to this greenhousey type area on this balcony so she could look out over there before she moved down stairs. Her husband Alfred built it for her because he was worried about her living down there with the villagers, and she had her own big keep. And as you can see, it's a pretty significant house. It just wasn't quite as big as what I wanted this to look like, and this really didn't get as big as I had kind of hoped either, because of the fact, of course, I split it off the Great Hall. But if we come in here, you can see Sophia's influence of flowers and everything like that. She has all of her little gardening supplies in this little closet under the stairs. There's a fish tank, which I swear I put more than one fish in that. So maybe they got out at some point or didn't make it. I have no idea. Al Laser just hanging out here. Here's the back little porch. There's a little back porch area that you can look out over the graveyard and also look out all over the trees. And I did plant these dark oaks. It's supposed to be representative to what this area looked like before everything happened in the story. Going upstairs, we have just the little landing, and you can kind of see out again down to the graveyard there. And this went into Ivan's room. So we had Ivan's like little changing area, his bed, and the changing area is protected from the windows over here. He had some interest in redstone, so he has redstone around and some other study things. And his book is here, so his little diary entry is there. And if we come out, here's the landing again. Just a little closet with a couple little barrels and a hook. And if we came upstairs, this is Ivan and Sophia's bedroom. So we have a little closet with some clothes and booties, a little changing area back here with a little hook. And I love this design. I said earlier in the season I'm going to use this design again at some point. I'm definitely going to use that design at some point. I love the dark oak with the warped. But little fireplace that goes to nowhere. There is not a smokestack for that anywhere. Their bed, and then out here is their balcony. And at one point I was going to put more flowers out here. I decided against it when I put all the flowers downstairs. But it gives you a really good look of this whole valley from here and all of the work that I did in the terraforming up and around that riverside. Ultimately, if the season had gone on longer, I probably would have continued building it all the way around and extended it out that way. But, you know, time is time. And then I also wanted to finish doing this section over here, which we'll look at before we're done. And I didn't finish that either. Now, from the bedroom here, we kind of head upstairs. Boop, 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 boop. And this was Alfred's office and study and library. And there's another book in here too. And all of the stories, like all of the different places, kind of gives you a picture of everything that happened and the storylines that were read. I think this one or the one downstairs was the one that Lucis Goose helped read and do narration for. I had one, I know it was downstairs that Impala 100 helped me do. So thanks to everybody who helped me do vocals and reading. I think Oda did one for me. Yeah, a lot of people did. My mom did some reading for me, so we had a lot of help with the lore in this. I later built the fountain and the pathways that kind of led around the building. So there's a pathway that goes all the way around this. There's also just a like kind of a quick little path that goes around here. You can see the front of the building. I love this. It was like terracotta, and this glow lichen made a really cool look of like stained glass, which was really fun to play around with. And then let's see, I think that's it for upstairs. So we are going to head our way down. Yeah, and just look at how pretty that all looks. Like I did this terraforming, and then Zinc really played off of it and then just went bonkers down through there. And I have learned so much more about terraforming than I ever thought I would, quite honestly. Yeah, let's go through here. There is a hidden mine shaft. I told you that there was a spot down from the... We'll land here real quick. There was a spot back from the server, so if you were to somehow go all the way back from the corner store and then followed the tunnel, you would come out here with this dripstone. I was gonna make like a rail line that went all the way from there to here, just in case, so people wouldn't necessarily have to fly or use the nether roof portal, but the nether roof portal was just easier, quite honestly. But it's a fun little trek. It's a fun little trek underneath all of the water, and there's like waterlogged sections that I never got to. But if we come on over here, I think this is the last thing. We got the bridge. So the bridge I built pretty early on because I was tired of running back and forth to the village that used to be here. And the only house that I left for the village is up there. And there's not a villager up there. It just sort of exists. And then I planted all of the fields around here. Started with Oda planting. I will say that Oda took this village and really ran with it. Like I planted all of these fields in later after he had moved most of the villagers, but then and that house got moved. That wasn't there originally. That exists to the farmer that keeps getting trapped up here, but we'll take a like right here. He keeps getting trapped up and around places instead of going back to his house. But the real village was here. Kind of got out of hand with the, we put too many beds out and they went absolutely bonkers with breeding, and then now I put them all in here and they have like tons of little metal bodyguards everywhere. And the houses are blue, but if you notice, every single blue bit is a block because there's no staircases in blue at this point. And I had to use like waterlogged coral and ice to make this build work, along with some of the other like lapis and the blue glazed terracotta. Did all the interior designing and died multiple times to golems getting angry at me because I accidentally punched a villager or two during the whole build. We've got our wishbone, and I've got lots of villagers in here. There's one or two of these with a name. You'll have to find them. And then opened up this area, and then more of my villagers in here. And there's more waterlogged stuff down in here too to keep all the blue going. And back in here was all of the rest of the farms. Just tons and tons of wheat. That was the original center point of the village up there, and I took all of the village houses out but those couple, and then just started going crazy, and I never did finish all of it. I thought I might finish more of it, and I just didn't. That about covers everything that I did down here this season. Look at that craziness. I keep looking at it because I'm just surprised at how much work that I got done. But let's head on into the Nether, and we'll take a look at the last few things that got built by me this season. So we have the Flower Forest portal, and this shape up above is actually supposed to be a butterfly. It kind of looked like, originally it was supposed to be a flower, and then I got squashed, so it looks more like a butterfly. A couple of my pets kind of got the timeout box over here. There was a tail about a zombie and a dog, and things happened, and now it's a different dog. But up here you can kind of see, because I have like my render distance up really high right now, you can see Nard's placed from here, you can see K-Hug's placed from here, Lane's base way out there. I think there's so many other farms out here, and there's actually way past here is where the Wither farm is, so I might bop over there here in a little bit too, so you can see all that work. But let's see. First things first. After Oda built the portal and we got up on the Nether roof, ended up building the Froglight farm because we just happened to be right by a basalt delta. And this farm was a lot of fun. It took Oda and I the better part of an entire day, like over 8 hours with the two of us, collecting up all the colors of frogs, bringing them back, like raising them all in their different areas, bringing them all back, getting them all in here, building the farm. And it is absolutely like bonkers how much, like, and this is like just the leftovers from us, like not even AFKing at the Froglight farm. Like you can AFK up there to get it to work, but overall it supplied everybody free Froglights all season long. So this was a great build to do very early on in the season. So flying on over here is my Blaze Rod farm. And I did not record the building of this, and I regret it now. I was in a mood one day and just decided to do it and didn't want to talk about it. I just wanted to do the thing. And I had to, like, find, like, I had to make tunnels out here because I didn't have the hole in the roof, and that ended up being like a few hour thing to finally try to blast a hole in the roof to make it down in here easily. But here's the Blaze farm, and it is like super nitty gritty, like just down and dirty, nothing special at all. Got a couple little blazes in here, and we'll take a look at it. It is my base level, like, farm that I do. Unfortunately, it was like right over like this. So it was really kind of scary to do. And it's not the fastest Blaze farm by any means, because there's a lot of spawns that happen here. But right in here, like, there they come. So it's based with 4 bits of lava in the corners. It's built just like a skeleton farm. I left the floor of the blaze spawner in for the entirety of building out the bottom. And then I came in with fire resist potions and then made sure that I built all the walls up so it was flat, and then put those stones in right there. And then they just come down into this area here and then collect up, and then I swipe at them with a sword, and that's all there is to it. I know there's like other farms out there that work differently, but that's it. That's what it does. And then I would come down here and I would use those blaze rods to cook up forest fruits and stuff for the actual end rods that I needed to build. So I'll show you this. This Oda and I spent a ton of time on. I bet you Oda probably spent over 24 to 48 hours in real time on this himself. I helped where I could. He is a grinder. I am not. But I did help where I could. This actually goes down way further, because this is the Wither Skeleton farm, and I do have to be careful because even though, like, not a lot can spawn out here anymore, some things can still spawn. So, Wither Skeleton right there, and then they see the golem, yep, and then they fall down, and then they also see the egg, and they have to, they kind of fall down into a chute down below, and there is an absolute ton of them. Let me come down into, let's see, where did he put that? So if we come all the way down in here, He built this all out. Safety, we had like really rickety platforms when we first put this in. And you can see how many skeletons like spawned in just this amount of time because nothing else can spawn in this area for the most part. There's still 27 skulls out here. There's still a couple blocks of coal. We had a trash spot, bones, or bone meal, etc. We kind of just do this real quick and see how fast this is. And I just put some manpower in. I barely did anything. But if we come up here in free cam, you can kind of see how dangerous this is. This is all the, like, crafters and everything like that that he did to create the bone blocks and the bone meal. This is the chute he did to be able to spit out the trash. This is the big chute that leads from the farm itself. Which you can see how fast. Look how many of these things spawn. Like, just absolutely incredible because there is not a single spot out here that does not have a button on it. Or a slab. About halfway through, I switched to slabs because you actually got more slabs out of it than buttons. And I think it was way out here. I think, yeah, I started slabbing at that point. So if they could spawn, we would free cam. We would stand in our farm and we would free cam out, and then he went all the way through this area even and buttoned all of this. This is how insane this was. And I helped. I'll just say I helped, but that's about it. I can't take way too much credit because look at how absolutely insane this area is. And I think there might be a couple spots where things can still spawn. But we pretty much wiped it all out. Like everything, this is the range that it could spawn in. And it was dangerous. There was many times we almost died. It was very crazy. And look at this insanity. This is absolute insanity. Let's heal up all of our tools. Yeah, like, oh, I have a wither skeleton skull just from that. That was all it took to get one wither skeleton skull off of this thing. I think I just saw another one. As I fly through here and remember what all these portals lead to, that leads to the end. That one back there led to Nard's place. I think one of these leads to Captain Wishbone's place. I know there's one in here somewhere that led to E's place. There's one that leads all the way out to go get to the desert. Let's see, what is this one? This one leads out to Cap's Landing, so that leads out to the Titanic, so we'll have to take a look at that for a full world tour. Couple of lanes places. Oh, one last one over here for me. This one led out to Oda's farm for his tridents, and then this one, which is very crooked, Ashley leads out to the orchid farm because the closest... Oh, I'm gonna have to get more rockets out. The closest place that I could find for a swamp was way out here to be able to do this farm. Oh, I need to sleep. This is the Orchid Shaker farm. So this is all the place, and you can still see I despawned out of here. Nobody ever comes in here to like spawn back into this area, but this guy's been going and doing seeds from the Shaker farm. And over here were some pets that I wanted to take home with me at some point, but I never did. So my little cutesy little slime friends. I'm gonna have to make a farm for and have some slime pets this next season, maybe. I think that might be perfect, but every time I think I'm gonna do some slimes and I never do. And then this was one of my favorite places on the server, honestly, for cool things. It's a floating island and it's only attached by this water stream. There's nothing there. So I used to hang out over here and I'd do the shaker farm thing and collect up the orchids and take all those home with me, and it was just kind of a cool thing. Let's take a look while we're in here and take a look on the map and see if I remember anything else before we go back to spawn and finish this video. There was so much stuff. This was all the areas that I went to. There's a lot more on the server, so you'll have to check it out. This was the mushroom island that, like, I got my mushrooms from all that time ago, because as you see from the flower farm, there's a river that leads all the way out here to be able to get back and forth to that. Cap's Titanic is over here. K-Hugs area is over here. The Halloween Island is here. Featherfetcher's area, his farm was over here. The Fighting Dome here that Zinc created. And if we come up here, here's Lane's Prismarine farm there. And Lane is actually, his full build is up here. Up here in his big castle. Let's see, where else we need to point out. E's Lighthouse and her Holdfast Forest is all out here. Izzy's area that she built is over here. There is a farm where Lane did all of his villagers with Toblocks. Toblocks also has a farm here. And then you see all of the boardwalk and everything. This was Zinc's area. And then Impala 100's area. And Melissa's area. And then there's other farms spread throughout the server. I think... Oh, in Nard's area. And here's Nard's area all the way down here. And then one last little Easter egg that I built was the portal, and was the portal dial, which is lore in my single player worlds. Just had a lot of fun with that over the seasons, and there's gonna be more. I'm gonna keep doing this multiversal thing because I feel like all of our worlds kind of exist in the same universe together, but maybe different multiverses, maybe other universes live elsewhere. Oh, and the museum, of course. How could I have forgotten the museum? I walked right by it. But the museum was the very final thing that I built over the course of the season, and I had a lot of fun with this too. And I am so happy that I had a whole lot of people to help me put all of those memories in one place over the course of the season. And I wanted to thank you all so much. So much gratitude. I mean, I really, you guys are amazing. And if you watch this far in the video, please subscribe, leave a like. Season 3 is coming. I am so happy for what we did here in Season 2. There's going to be a lot of big changes coming in Season 3, and it is going to look a whole lot different than this. And this looked a whole lot different than Season 1 ever did, and I can't imagine it any other way. We are always growing and learning and expanding our knowledge. We're always learning new techniques, new storytelling, new friends along the way, and I am looking forward to having you all along on that adventure together. Now, this is kind of the end. We are planning on doing a stream day coming up very shortly in another Saturday or two, so keep an eye out for that. And make sure, if at that point, like, you're way in the future watching this, look for that stream. I hope I have one. If not, I'm sure some of the other members would have them. Also, take a look at the other server members for all the server tours, etc. I hope you enjoy it. We are going to have a world download of this, so go ahead and explore. Like, we'll leave our stuff in. I know people have left their stuff at various places around the server as they logged off for the last time. It's over. I think I might be almost the last one, and that is crazy to think about. And I'm gonna miss it a whole lot. I'm gonna miss it a whole lot. And I'm gonna miss this world that we created together and being able to spend time in it and walking around and enjoying all of these things. But for now, from the CraftWorks server, This has been Millie. I hope you enjoyed a look at all of the things that I built this season, and I've probably missed some things, honestly, because there were things I built and are no longer on the server and things that got changed. But overall, I am so happy with how all of this turned out, and I had a blast, so I hope you all had a blast too. And from the CraftWorks server, Season 2, signing off, this has been Millie. Give yourselves a hug for me. I love y'all very much. And I will see you very soon on the next one. Bye, everyone. Bye.